Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Disability Channel, the Today Show, New York. I am your host, Rachel Handler, and I am so excited to be joined today by Ryan Haddad, an incredible performer, actor, friend. So stay tuned for him because that is going to be such a fun conversation. You might have seen Ryan on The Politician on Netflix. You may have seen one of his plays in DC or here in New York. So I'm so thrilled to talk to him because he's also a writer and actor like me, and I want to pick his brain on so many things. And it's also June. Yay, June. My off-Broadway play is closing here in New York City this week, so I will be really sad to see it close, but it will be nice to have a little more free time to explore the city a little bit. So maybe I'll have to take you on one of my adventures to the Empire State Building or Rockefeller Center. We'll see. But thank you so much for being here. As always, we'll be talking about living in New York City with a disability. And since it's June, we also really want to celebrate Pride Month. So we'll be talking about work with the LGBT community plus as well. And so thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with Ryan today. So let's not listen to me talk anymore. Let's play with Ryan. Thank you. All right, welcome back to the Disability Channel. I'm your host, Rachel Handler, and I'm joined today by Ryan Haddad. Oh, thank you, Ryan.
Hi, Rachel.
For being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So I said a little bit about Ryan, just a little sneak preview, but I would love for you to introduce yourself, Ryan, just a brief visual description, and where you're joining us from today.
I'm Ryan J. Haddad. I am a Lebanese American man with sort of coiffed black hair that is graying by the day. I'm wearing round glasses, tortoiseshell glasses, and I'm wearing a maroon paisley shirt with my bed and nightstand behind me. And I'm so happy to be here. I think that described myself as much as I could. And I am an actor and writer, primarily a playwright. And I'm very excited to talk with Rachel, who is also a wonderful multimedia multi-hyphenate.
I feel like you kind of have to be in this industry nowadays if you want to be working. Yeah.
Yes. Particularly, I think, as disabled people, it's sort of like, the doors are not opening for us as quickly as we would want. There have been people who have been fighting for representation in entertainment for 30 years, 40 years, or longer. And we arrived and we're thriving and excited, but also it's slow. And so to combat the slowness, you've got to create the opportunities for yourself.
That's so true. I'm glad you said that because I keep seeing change and I say, yay, the progress is happening. I'm seeing more disability representation on screen, on the stage, but it's still pretty slow and pretty sad because I'll get so excited when I see like more than one character with a disability on a TV show,
right.
And it's like,
right.
Wait, why am I excited about that? Like, that's great, but like, why are there more, So
why aren't there more? That's it. Well, we're working on it. We're working on it.
We are. So Ryan, I would love to hear about your time I know you're in New York now, but you were just in DC working on your show.
Yes.
So I would love to hear about that. Yeah.
I was doing my play, Hi, Are You Single? At Woolly Mammoth Theater Company in Washington, D.C. I have been doing the play for 7 years, starting as my senior capstone in college and undergrad. And I took it around the country to all kinds of different cities in basically festivals and very short, 2 nights here, 3 nights there. Show was in my duffel bag. And I would say, what couch do you have in your storage? What do you have a table, and is the chair high enough or low enough? So this was its first full production, and by extension, my world premiere as a playwright, my first world premiere production as a playwright. So it was a big, big moment. And my air conditioner just turned on. I hope it's not too loud.
You're good. Yeah, I can barely hear it.
Okay, great. So it was my first full production, and because it wasn't 2 or 3 nights, it was 2 weeks, 7 performances a week. I was able to just the number. I mean, I'm not from DC by any means, but the number of disabled people who came, who I'd never met before, who knew me either from TV or the internet or my writing or what have you, who showed up and wanted to meet and talk and felt so represented. Whenever we had a talk back, it was like there was just this level of thank you. Someone has talked about desire and sexuality and romance and the loneliness that comes with not always having access to that as a disabled person. And it was really great to sort of meet the disability community in DC. They really came out to support the show. And it wasn't like everybody came on one night. It's sort of a trickle of 2 and 3 here and 4 and 5 here. And it was that's not something you get when you're self-producing, and that's not something you get when it's really short. But the word of mouth sort of spread, and it showed me what the duration of representation matters just as much as the representation itself.
Oh yeah, I love the way you said that. And even, I think I remember this right, the legend Judy Heumann came to see the show.
Well, Judy Heumann came. Yes, Judy Heumann came as a special guest, and she was an utter dream. And I have to tell you, I was watching her the whole time, and she was sort of, very neutral expression. And it starts as a comedy, and then it's not so much a comedy, but it starts as a comedy, as all my work does. And I thought, oh my God, Judy Heumann hates it. Judy Heumann, my career's over. Judy Heumann hates me, hates the show. And then afterward, the first thing she said was, "You were magnificent. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness." And then we chatted for 30 minutes, and we took pictures, and so you can't if you can't judge somebody by whether or not they're laughing at your jokes outwardly.
Oh yes.
Or you can't judge an audience response that way.
That's so true. Because honestly, as theater artists, we want that immediate connection. We want that verbal response from our audience members. And sometimes you just don't get that, but they are so with you. If I've learned anything from understudying in this show, where I watch it a few times a week, I have learned that when the performers are just on their A game and things are flying and I am cracking up and tearing up and just with them, some of those days the audience is completely silent, giving them nothing.
Yes.
And they are just doing incredible work. But then after the show, the audience is like, wow, I was so moved,
Absolutely.
So yeah, I know we all want that like verbal or even like physical response sometimes, but sometimes we don't get it, but they are there with us. Yeah.
I know you're interviewing me, but can I just ask you what it is like understudying at this precarious, COVID-filled time?
It's great. It's a little anxiety inducing. Like every day I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to go on?
Yeah.
And I have only had to go on once so far. I found out at about noon and the show was at 7. And at that point I had only had one rehearsal as that character. Goodness. So I was like, we're doing this, but it was so fun. And the team has been really great because I have a disability. No one else in the cast has a physical disability, I don't think. maybe one other person, but the director and the assistant director had been really great about like, if kneeling is uncomfortable for you there, it's totally fine for you to sit. And I talked to the costumer and I'm wearing flats instead of heels. So they've been really lovely and very respectful of any accommodations I may need.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's really wonderful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. We have to cut for a break, but when we come back, we will be talking more about accessibility and the politician and life in general. So stay tuned.
We are unstoppable.
We shoot for the stars.
And we can achieve anything we set our minds to.
We're entrepreneurs.
We are community leaders.
Athletes.
Artists.
Organic farmers.
We are mothers
and daughters.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
And yet, people with disabilities probably can't use your website.
To buy your shoes.
Order your food.
Apply for your job. To use your dating sites.
Just like everybody else.
For millions of Americans.
America.
Like me.
Like
me.
Like me.
The internet is inaccessible.
Hey, if your business has a website, make it accessible.
For everyone.
Unlock web accessibility with Accessiby. It's simple and affordable.
And don't just do it to be compliant.
Do it because it's the right thing to do.
Web accessibility is Accessiby. Start your free trial today.
Hi, this is Dave Stevens for the Disability Channel.
An inability to break out. I'm sitting by the door on the second floor, losing my 7-year war. It's not an illusion, so why the exclusion?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's about you. So,
you say you're a disability dynamo.
Joining me and welcome to this beautiful Travelers Championship.
I only want one accolade from you.
So my story is unique, it's amazing, but it's not anything that you guys don't have inside of you. I'm not a hero, I'm not anybody special. I'm just this guy without legs that went out, and I just did it.
Stats outweigh the Democrats, the diplomats, and the bureaucrats.
This is probably your first interview down on the ground on your butt and stuff like
First
that?
time ever,
All
baby.
right.
Eliminate and validate and validate and validate.
Stay with us and the Disability Channel.
Welcome back to the Disability Channel, the Today Show New York. I'm Rachel Handler, your host, and I'm joined today by Ryan Haddad. We were just talking about his show, Hi, Are You Single?, which was just in DC, where Judy Heumann came to see the show, and so many other people with disabilities got to enjoy this artistry. And that representation, I think, is so important. So I'd also love to chat about The Politician a little bit and that experience where you were just an actor. You didn't write the story. So how was that for you?
It was my first sort of substantial television role that wasn't a sort of one and done or 2 lines and nobody would ever know I was on the show if I didn't post about it on Facebook.
Right.
So it was and it came to me because I auditioned for it, but I had the opportunity to audition for it because they were explicitly looking for a young man with cerebral palsy who was able to play a high school aged student in the first season. And if they hadn't written that explicitly, they probably would have auditioned, 100 other people that weren't me or were not disabled, if they were just looking for a high school student, but it's because that was in the writing, that was in the breakdown from the beginning, that I then had the opportunity to even be considered for a show of this scale and scope and reach. I mean, a lot of people watched that show, and I'm, continue to be recognized for it multiple times a week by young people. And it is, I'm so grateful for what it has done for the opportunities I have to audition further for other kinds of similar high caliber projects, and what it has done for my theater career, for my playwriting. My shows were not produced or even considered for production until the season 1 of The Politician came out. And if that has to do with, theater's kind of thirst for TV, okay, so what have you there. But that's the reality of the business. Unfortunately or fortunately, doors have opened because of The Politician, and I'm grateful. And also, it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't written in that the character was to be disabled and that they were specifically seeking someone with cerebral palsy.
I love that. Yeah. That's why it's so important to, yes, we keep having this talk about casting people with disabilities in roles that have nothing to do with the disability. But until we are authentically cast in roles that are written with disabilities, I think the two have to go hand in hand.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
So that's why I think casting actors with disabilities in roles that aren't specifically written for disabilities is important, but it's also important to include roles that are written specifically with disabilities. Because I've had that same experience where my only guest star on a TV show so far was written where they were like, well, maybe she uses crutches. So that's why I got to audition. Yeah. So yes, I want to keep playing the nurse and the juror and other roles that have nothing to do with my disability. But I think to stay on the minds of casting directors and producers and writers, there need to be roles written with disabilities too.
Exactly. And to even just allow us into the room for consideration. And that's happened a lot more for me because of The Politician than I've gotten to audition for all kinds of roles that aren't written to be disabled. And yet those are not the roles that go forward. There was a 2-year there was 2 years of a pandemic, but there was a 2-year period in which I was auditioning more frequently than I ever had before, and nothing. Like maybe a callback here or there, or not even a callback, but you weren't right for this part, so we're going to try you for this other one, and then it would just go nowhere because these roles weren't specifying disability. Casting directors knew me and liked me and wanted me to have, success, but ultimately, the casting directors aren't the ones who make the decisions, the hiring decisions. They allow us to have the opportunity to audition, and they advocate for us, which I knew I got, it was clear to me that I was being advocated for. And yet the next TV thing after The Politician, of course, is a role that is written to be disabled. And that didn't occur to me until I got that offer. Oh, this is what it took. This is why it took 2 years of ultimately, look, I'm working a lot in lots of different forms and mediums. And I'm very fortunate to have, the different kinds of opportunities that I do. But I'm very aware that if I wasn't actively writing my own material to perform on the stage, and I was simply relying on somebody saying to me, yes, we choose you for this part that you didn't write, then I wouldn't be able to sustain this career, and I probably would. I also am not particularly equipped for failure, so I would have moved. I would have moved on. I would have moved on. I would have taken all the rejection and gone, well, this isn't for me. Let me pack my bag and go do something else that I'm good at. But because I have the writing, and I'm not going to apologize for it, because the writing is a vehicle for me to perform, I get to flex those muscles more often than if I was just sitting back in my chair waiting to be handed a a script.
Yeah. I love that. And it's frustrating because not every actor with a disability wants to be a writer.
Absolutely.
So where does that leave us, you know?
Absolutely. And look, not every actor wants to be a writer. Not every comedian wants to. I mean, comedians. Okay, not every comedian wants to write something besides stand up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it's, and also not everyone is a writer. That's the thing. You know, if you want to create material for yourself and you're not a writer, then maybe find somebody who is a writer. Find it, whether it's a disabled writer or not a disabled writer, you know, collaborate with people to make it the best that it can be. Because if everybody sat down at a computer and said, I'm a writer now, that's not true. Like, it's not everybody's skill set. Not everyone's a painter. Not everyone's a fine artist. I couldn't pretend to be those things if I wanted to. You could put me down in front of an easel and I would laugh at you, right? So I think I want to get to a point where disabled actors can act and not have to do a million other things. But until then, I also think it's the nature of the whole business. I think to become noticed, no matter who you are, no matter what community or communities you come from, like, we are in a moment where you have to be able to do more than one thing in order to succeed. And I'm thinking back to my acting classes as a child in Parma Heights, Ohio. They being told that you had to be a triple threat, an actor, singer, and a dancer. And even then I knew, well, I only can be two of those things. Or I only want to be two of those things. Some disabled people are wonderful dancers. Not me, not a thing I've ever been interested in doing or being. So, like, actor, singer, and I know I'm not as good of a singer as I am an actor. And so does that mean as a teenager or a preteen, I'm sitting here being told that I am not suited for a career in this? And thank God I had tenacity and drive and I don't want to say the word perseverance because you know that is thrown at us as disabled people all the time. But I basically didn't want to listen to those detractors.
Right.
And I've carved a path for myself that, thank God, isn't being a triple threat musical theater actor.
See, that's what I'm still going for.
Well, and that's fine if that is what you're called to do, and also if you have, I'm not a dancer. I'm not. So
see, when I heard you say, like, you're more of an actor, singer, but better on the acting, like, my mind immediately goes to Sondheim, you know? Like, there you go. There's your musical theater genre. But of course, Sondheim, yes,
no,
Sondheim.
Sondheim, but sometimes, because sometimes those notes are up here, and I don't, and that, changing keys is like, a no-no, and it shouldn't be, because there are lots of trance performers who need keys changed and are brilliant and could be playing the roles, and they can't because the keys don't change. So, yes, Sondheim is an actor's composer, but I've had trouble finding the role that I could both physically and vocally match within a Sondheim piece that's a man. There are many of them that I could do that are women.
Well, why not? But I think the thing is, like, growing up in Parma, it's like our teachers thinking this way, a little outside the box, like, you say you can't do this, but you can still do that. And, like, I think that there's a lot of still education that needs to be taught when it comes to kids with disabilities. Like, I don't know if I would have gone into this industry if I had a disability when I was in college, it's just the sad truth of it. But hopefully we're getting more representation out there now with kids with disabilities on TV shows and doing these voiceover roles. So hopefully it's looking a little more Yeah. Well, why don't we take a quick break? And when we come back, I want to talk more specifically about Pride Month, what that means to you. I saw some of your shows that deal with, being in the community. Sure. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Jay Stoyan here for the Disability Channel, the world's only inclusive channel for and by persons with disabilities. I just want to let everybody know that we are now live on Roku TV, the world's largest IP platform, and it is a free subscription. Again, the Disability Channel is live on Roku TV, the world's largest IP platform, available in more than 27 countries around the world, and it is a free subscription. Subscribe today, the Disability Channel.
Hi, this is Rocky Blyer, and you're watching the Disability Channel showcasing abilities.
All right, welcome back to the Disability Channel. I am your host, Rachel Handler, on the Today Show, New York, joined by actor, writer extraordinaire Ryan Haddad here in New York City.
That's very generous. That's too generous.
No, not at all. I have seen you perform. I have seen you on The Politician. You are an extraordinaire, my friend, for sure. For sure. There's no doubt about it.
All right, we'll wait until my hair's a little grayer.
That's a sign of age and wisdom and knowledge, yes. Ryan, I remember specifically in one of the plays that I saw you do, I forget which one it was, but you had said something about how when you came out to your family, I'm just going to let you say it because I remember that experience for you.
It was when I said, hold on.
Yeah.
This is the line, now you're different in two ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That really struck me.
It's fascinating because I was raised in a family, not that ignored my disability in any way, but in which my disability was never a point of contention at all. Never, they were never ashamed of it. They were never, they never underestimated me because of it. And in fact, they expected, the same academic and social excellence that my brothers were. They wanted me to succeed, and they wanted me to be a leader, and they wanted me to do all these things, and they were never going to tell me that I couldn't. Or accept when I said, but I can't. No, they wouldn't allow that. So when they said that to me, I thought, well, so what? Now you're different in two ways. That was my mom, and she was scared, and she was vulnerable, and I knew that that I would be okay coming out as gay because I have a lesbian aunt and a gay uncle on one on each side of the family. So I thought, well, I'll be fine. But it's always hard, regardless. Even if you have examples to look up to, it's still, well, it can't be me. Oh no, I'm straight. Oh no, I'm not so straight. You hit puberty and it goes, oh no, oh God, oh no. And what am I gonna do? And I don't want to come out. And oh no, but then you do, and you hear something like that. Now you're different in two ways. And I thought, well, the disability they had never framed the disability as a problem. And I don't think that they were framing being gay as a problem per se when they said that, or my mother said that, but it was a moment of, we know how we see you, we know how we treat you, we don't know how the rest of the world is going to treat you because of these. I was sheltered somewhat from disability discrimination by a really empowering and supportive family. And I think she knew that's not always going to be the case. And now you're adding queerness to it, being gay. And of course, that was in 2008. And we're still in 2022 when half the country still doesn't think gay, queer, trans, bi, pansexual, all of these people have the right to existence, to living and thriving and building families and building homes and being happy. They don't want us to be happy. So of course that's what she thought 14 years ago, because it's still true now. And I didn't know until that moment, and even a little later when I started trying to meet men and build relationships and make connections and have a boyfriend, which I have never still gotten to that label with anybody at the age of 30. That is when I realized, oh, this is harder than it looks. That both things together, the mixture of being gay and disabled, is not going to be the easiest cakewalk. I'm not going to find my high school sweetheart or my college sweetheart or beyond. There will be someone, I know that in my body and in my soul. I can feel that I will have a great love, or maybe even more than one. But that is when it, my mother said that, and it planted a seed. And 3 years later, I logged on to Adam for Adam, and after I graduated high school, and it was like, oh my God, I had no idea what to expect. And I'm still, even though I've come so far 11 years later, I'm really secure in both my disabled identity and my gay identity and my sexuality and the ways, my desirability. I still have residual I still have residual pain and residual insecurity about my worth within the gay community from back then. So that is why pride is so important.
Yes.
because it doesn't, I had gay elders to look up to from the time I was a young person. I had an extremely supportive family from the moment that I came out, and yet I still need to find my journey to pride in who I am and what I bring to both communities, gay and disabled. And so, especially when, I'll say it again, half the country does not want us to be happy, let alone want us to be alive, want us to exist, want us to be teachers and students. My gosh, the Don't Say Gay and all of the bills that are in Texas, being able to call parents who are affirming their children's gender identity child abusers and have them investigated. What world are we living in? How have we gone backward as far as we went forward? And so we need to hold on to our pride, because there are still people in pockets of this country and all over the world who want us not here. And so this is a poignant pride, maybe a little bit of an ominous pride, given that we have such a conservative Supreme Court right now that's handing down rulings that are harmful to women and people with reproductive rights, who that might not have them in a month or this month. It's pride's not just pride was a riot started by drag queens and trans women of color.
Yeah.
And we've got to remember that as we wave our flags and, and wear our fabulous outfits. We want to be proud, and we want to enjoy, and we want to be happy, because they're trying to take that away. But we also are not done with the fight. There's more fight to come, because people are still trying to tear us down every day, every month, every election cycle, and so on and so on. This segment is so much longer than you've ever intended it to be.
It's important. It's eloquent. I mean, I'm very touched, and I'm realizing, as important as it is to celebrate this month, there is still so much oppression, and the oppression by our own government and our own citizens is outstanding. And the similarities between the oppression with the gay community, LGBTQ+, and the disability community has such similarities as well when it comes to marriage equality and employment discrimination and all of that. And
reproductive rights in a totally different way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my gosh. So yes, there is overlap, and often disability is overlooked when there is overlap. So we've got to keep, I know I went on a pride rant on the Disability Channel, but
it's important. I think our followers
intersectionality matters. Intersectionality is often we're pigeonholed as one thing. If I'm disabled, I can't be gay, and vice versa.
Yes.
And you can, to be a disabled woman fighting for reproductive justice and reproductive rights, we need to fight to not be overlooked continually.
Couldn't have said any of that better myself. Oh, thank you so much, Ryan. Oh my goodness. Our fight continues.
Yes.
This is not a time to be complacent. It is a time to celebrate and keep the momentum going.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Ryan. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see where your journey takes you. Thank you for being here today. So appreciate your time. I think some of our followers want to know maybe what's next for you.
This is public knowledge, so it's not a secret. I am filming that next TV series. My next TV role post The Politician is a mini series for FX called Retreat, by Britt Marling and Zalpat Monglich, who created the OA. And I'm very excited, and I'm very excited that they wrote a role explicitly seeking a disabled character and performer. He is brooding and wonderful, and I'm excited to be working on that right now. That is what's happening. I don't know when it's going to come out, but that's my, what I'm working on through the summer. And then this next season, I am slated to appear a couple of times on stage here in New York, but those are projects. Well, one is about to be announced today, so I don't know if can I say it, and then you tell me when this airs and you can cut it if I'm not. I think it's literally coming out today, so if this isn't airing today, then we can say it, right?
It should be safe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the fall, I am slated to do a play off Broadway, which I can't talk about yet, but next spring, this I can talk about because it is my play. One of my new pieces that is not Hire You Single, but is in fact a different autobiographical monologue called Dark Disabled Stories, will be co-produced with the Bushwick Star at the Public Theater. So that'll be next winter, spring, end of February. Well, I'm end of February to beginning of April as of now, but the dates are not officially set in stone, so that could change. But I'm very excited because that will mark my off-Broadway playwriting debut, and it's an exciting piece that no one has ever seen or heard, because it hasn't. I haven't done it around the country in the way that I was doing Hire You Single for years. So it's new and it's scary, and I've got to memorize the whole thing, but I'm going to do it. And it's a play in which there will be integrated access throughout the run. For the whole run, there will be captions, audio description, and American Sign Language at every performance. And I'm very excited to bring that to New York.
Okay, that has to be a record for off-Broadway. I don't think that has ever been done before. So,
well,
yay!
I will let you say those words. I am not going to say those words.
That's all me. That's me. But I think I'm right.
But I'm excited. I'm thrilled for it. And produced by the Bushwick Star at the Public Theater, presented at the Public Theater. So I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you get your tickets and come and see me for Dark Disabled Stories in 2023.
Incredible. Accessibility in theater, incredible disabled stories. I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Ryan. Just one more break and then we're going to wrap up. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
All about inclusion and really giving everyone a fair say.
Welcome to the Today Show. This is our flagship show. I am Unstoppable Tracy.
I am Zach Damon.
It is a pleasure to be here. I am excited. What is up?
We have a great show today.
Jay Stoyan here for the Disability Channel, the world's only inclusive channel for and by persons with disabilities.
Get ready to be inspired, everyone.
We have people watching from all over the world, but also all over Ontario.
We also take a concerted attention in the veterans community.
In moments of stress and trauma, we can get a hold of ourselves.
To help make a difference for people with disabilities, to show people how to love themselves or their disability.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me, giving this platform for myself and other people with disabilities.
Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this episode of the Disability Channel of Detroit. Please tune in next time.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. It has been such a joy and honor to chat with Ryan Haddad. And speaking of accessibility in theater, I have to say a huge thank you to Accessibility, working to create accessible experiences for all internet users. So thank you, Accessibility, for sponsoring this show and for doing the work that you do. It is so, so important. Especially as we've all learned during the pandemic, we all are relying on the internet. So we should all have equal access to everything. Thank you, Accessibility. And thank you, Ryan, for joining us today. Any closing thoughts you'd like to share before we leave our viewers?
Just thank you to Rachel for your friendship and the work and advocacy that you do, and also the artistry that you bring to both mediums of theater and film TV as a filmmaker and artist and actor, writer, performer. You're wonderful, and it's a joy to watch and cheer you on, as I know that you have been cheering me on as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Oh, that means the world. It's so important to just support other disabled artists because it is not an easy life. So thank you. That means so much. And thanks for joining us today. We will see you next time here on the Disability Channel. Have a wonderful week.
Bye.